Welcome, Pewter Report readers, listeners, and viewers to an emergency edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius. I'm John Ledyard from PewterReport.com. With me tonight is Scott Reynolds of PewterReport.com and JC Allen of PewterReport.com. And we are here to talk about the rumors, the reports, all of the above with quarterback Tom Brady of the Buccaneers. Buccaneer great, as we call him around these parts. Is he retiring or is he not? Adam Schefter, Jeff Darlington reporting that Tom Brady is retiring earlier today, Scott. And then it has been all hell breaking loose on Twitter since then. There's been his dad saying that these reports are unsubstantiated and not true, and Brady has not actually made a decision. There was even a report from somebody who talked to Brady's dad that said, probably mistakenly written, that he's not retiring. It's from his dad. That doesn't seem to be the case. His dad later talked to other people and said he's not made any decision yet. We'll see. Seems like those reports are kind of what the Bucs are getting to.
Totally, yes. The minute the news broke nationally from the reporting on I guess Jeff Darlington and Adam Schefter, those were the first two that kind of talked about it. And I know Jason Licht threw up something last night, not the most reliable source when it comes to breaking news, but got immediate pushback from Jason Licht, the general manager, who texted me multiple times telling me that no decisions have been made and that Brady has not told the Buccaneers he's retiring.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't mean that Brady can't retire at some point in time, but as this story has developed more, we've come to find out that what he is out of the country right now on vacation.
Yeah, that's what Jeff House said. Yeah,
right. So if that's the case, it doesn't sound like he's going to be making the decision while he's on vacation. I think that's the opportune time to reconnect with your family, to think about it, but probably not to make that type of conclusion. And so the obvious question is, where did this come from then, right? The only thing I can conclude, and is this speculation? Sure, but for when you're talking about Tom Brady, the closest people to him, right, are and Jason Licht and Bruce Arians aside, I mean, they're not the closest to Brady. They're his employers, but they're not the closest. The closest to Brady, Giselle, Tom Brady Sr., and Alex Guerrero.
Okay. Probably
those are
other
the three
family members.
Well, yeah, maybe, but I'm just saying those are the three, and Don Yee is agent, I would suspect. But the interesting thing is TB12 came out right when these reports came and said it's been a great ride, all of that, and you'd like to think that they would show some restraint, and of course they deleted that tweet. So I'm not saying that it came from Alex Guerrero, but he kind of implicated himself a little bit.
That caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know who, there could be so many different avenues in terms of how they got this news. But one thing I'll just say, there's just Bucs fans, I know you're going to get your hopes up now that it's not been substantiated.
Yeah.
You could do that if you wish. But Adam Schefter, Jeff Darlington, and Ian Rapoport, on top of Lock 'em For, whatever you think of him, all getting this report wrong would be unprecedented in sports media. That just does not happen.
You're right. You're right. And again, I'm with you, John. I don't want Buc fans to cling to this, because I remember we even talked about it the other day, John, on a Wednesday podcast, and I asked you point blank, what do you think is happening? And I said I think he's retiring. And I stand by that. When the news happened today, it didn't really surprise me.
Right.
But I will say this. This is like Michael Jordan retiring. This is like Kobe Bryant retiring. This is icon stuff, okay? And if there's ever going to be a follow the leader, right, even blindly, this is going to be the story. And I'm not questioning the reporting necessarily of a Schefter or Darlington, whatever, but this is one of those things where once it seems like it's happening, I think everybody in the national media is going to pile on, because they don't want to be the one who is late to the
But if
story.
you get this wrong, JC, I mean, there's no coming back from this, right? Like that, you can't, no, Schefter, Rapoport, Darlington, they're not going to get it wrong.
They don't call him Tom Petty for no reason. I mean, he might just play this season just despite the media.
I thought about that. Yeah,
you guys are crazy.
I thought about that.
I saw you mentioned, the greats, Kobe, Jordan, Jeter. Those guys all had a year. Everyone knew they were hanging it up. Everyone knew they were retiring.
Yeah.
This would be even crazier because Brady for the last 7 years or so has been saying, I want to play till I'm 45. You know, he's MVP status. He says, I'm going to play until I suck. And like, even if he does start to suck, what suck? Ryan Tannehill level, who had the #1 seed with the Titans, you know, without Derrick Henry. So like, it's just shocking that this came about. I'm still kind of at a loss for words. I feel bad for John, who had to proof the story that I wrote for it earlier today, because I just couldn't formulate one of my thoughts on the page. But, you know, there's so much coming out right now from the organization, from his circle. And, you know, Jeff Darlington, for everything ESPN, I know he's media, but he's been really dialed into Brady in his camp. So I was waiting for him to say something. The fact that, you know, obviously Schefter is the main guy, so he's got to come out with Darlington. That gives it a lot more credence than anyone else. Looking for Pelissero or Rapoport. I think Darlington's name attached to this really gives it some credence. And right now it's like, Bucs fans are like asking, what do you think? What do you think? It's like when your friend comes with you like a difficult situation, and you're like, well, what do you want to hear? Do you want me to tell you the good stuff, or do you want me to tell you the truth? Because the truth is, as John mentioned,
you know me, I'm always going to tell you the truth, right? Like I'm just saying, like Tom Brady's going to retire, folks. Like you can accept it now, or you can accept it in a couple weeks.
I definitely think it's the case. This is what his agent Don Yee had to say, and I quote: "This is something that Yee put out a couple hours ago. I understand the advanced speculation about Tom's future without getting into the accuracy or inaccuracy of what's being reported. Tom will be the only person to express his plans with complete accuracy. He knows the realities of the football business and planning calendar as well as anybody. So that should be soon." So, and I understand.
He didn't even shoot it down, though. Like he didn't even say he still hasn't decided.
The accuracy or inaccuracy, like this is the most telling part of that statement.
Yeah, I think he would have. Not that I would have believed him if he shot it down, because again, Schefter, Rapoport, Darlington all getting this story wrong. I mean, we just would never see anything of a story of this magnitude. I know. Would not have seen anything like it.
A couple weeks ago, Rapoport and Schefter both got things wrong in the same week, so we have seen them both be
that
wrong.
That was like a Chris Godwin's ACL. And then they had more tests that showed something else. I mean, you can knock it some, but it's not the same thing at all. Like this would be. I know. There's nothing to compare it to.
Right. We have a couple super chats. Let's get to these. John Ward. Hopefully Tampa Bay can save, or hopefully Tom Brady can save Bucs fans from going down the Carson Strong first-round pick rabbit hole. They're not drafting another quarterback, folks. They drafted Kyle Trask last year. They're very happy with Trask's development. I'm going to feature Trask in my SR's Fab 5. I was going to do that regardless of whether Brady was going to retire. I was actually thinking about writing it this week, but I decided not to. That I was going to write it for next Friday. So I've got some exclusive quotes about Trask and about his development, which has been very positive behind the scenes. The one thing that I will say is, in this is nothing reactionary. This is nothing I've heard recently. This is probably back in December. The Bucs organization feels like Kyle Trask would have been the first pick in this year's draft. That's how bad the quarterback crop is this year. They have scouted the quarterback position and are not comfortable with any of the players. That they would have picked Trask ahead of every quarterback in this draft.
That's big. That's big. I know this draft class isn't the greatest, but the fact that they have that much confidence in him, and you heard even Clyde Christensen saying we've got to retrain this kid from day one. So the fact that at least he had a year under center, learning that position with Tom there, I think it was a long way. He's the only quarterback in the contract right now. So I mean, you got to make moves somewhere, whether that's bring Blaine or Griff back or all their possibilities that are out there. But
yeah,
that's great that you heard that, Scott. I think that's a relief for most fans out there right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That is an indictment.
We got Paul Atwell here too.
Paul, we got a super chat to get to, Paul. I know you're good, Paul, but I don't know if you can answer this question because this is a very complicated situation. From Rob, he says $10 super chat. We appreciate this, Rob. Thank you. Also, Rob, are you rocking the guitar there and like a sick beard?
Yeah.
Do you have jams, Rob? Do you have a YouTube channel? Drop it if you have.
It's Rob Jackson Music.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I'm going there, I'm gonna check this out, Rob.
Yeah.
What kind of music? Let us know what kind of music. Can you guys talk about the cap ramifications of what happens if Brady does retire? Is there dead cap money involved? Yes.
Yes,
This is a complicated situation.
It is.
And there is actually like a lot of unknowns. So it's kind of pointless for us to totally address it. But here's the bottom line of what you need to know. Like, you can follow Brad Spielberger. He's tweeted about it tonight. He's written about it. Joel Corey has written an article about it as well in the past few days, if you want the details of what's going to happen, Rob. But I'll say this. If Brady retires, there are a couple different things that can happen that will change his cap numbers for this year, change his long-term cap, change all the money situations for the Bucs. So we kind of have to wait to see how those details unfold before we can actually like comment or give you a lot of news. But they'll work to make sure the Bucs. Here's the bottom line: the Bucs will definitely, after they make the move they make, have more space this offseason to spend with the cap. Probably at least 12 million, maybe more, to spend with the cap after Brady's situation has been totally resolved if he does retire. So more money to bring back key people if they want to.
And there's also the possibility too that Brady does something, restructures his contract in a way that opens up more money for them as well before he does officially retire. So there's multiple,
which is very likely.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very likely.
Here's another thing too. Nate Pitts, only in Tampa Bay, laugh out loud, reminds me of when ESPN was certain the Bucs would be getting Brett Favre. I faked staying home from school for that signing that never happened. It wasn't just Brett Favre. It was actually Ira Kaufman from the Tampa Tribune who broke the story of the Buccaneers trading for Brett Favre. Of course, a trade that never actually happened. But it did get printed in the newspaper. It did get talked about on ESPN. It was all but a certainty until it didn't happen.
The final hour, the GM nixed it and sent him to the Jets instead.
Yeah, I think even Favre thought he was going to the Bucs.
Favre wanted to go to the Bucs.
Yeah, he did.
He wanted to. Yeah,
and they were playing Green Bay that year, if I recall.
They were. That's part of the reason why he wanted to go.
I didn't know that they printed it though.
They did.
Wow.
Oh yes.
So,
that is funny.
Real quick,
Dewey defeats Truman right here in Tampa.
Yikers.
Not that he needs it, but who's representing Tom's Hall of Fame case? Is it Ira? Or is it someone from up north?
I don't think that anyone will need to take that job.
You think that they Wayne Gretzky him? I
just say, all right, we're done. Why would they waste their time?
Do you think they Wayne Gretzky him?
What do you mean?
Wayne Gretzky retired. They just put him right in.
Oh, they can't. Well, was there rules at the time with the NHL that they did that?
I'm not positive, but I mean,
okay. I don't think they can do it.
I don't think they would, and I don't think Brady would want that either. I don't think
part of the process of getting other people in is having a down year where there isn't an automatic person, then you can get some other people
going by himself.
Yes,
just by himself, nobody else.
Yeah, what the heck? Callum, we appreciate the super chat. Call me an optimist. Bucs are healthy. Free agents across the league want to play with him before he retires. Shoeless Joe. Okay, this is where we kind of get into some of the nitty gritty with this and what exactly is this going to look like for the Bucs moving forward if Brady does retire. We expect at this point that it's going to happen. So what exactly does this look like moving forward? And Paul, I want to get some of your thoughts on this. What traits do you think are most important for a quarterback to have? Because everybody's kind of always said, oh, if you're tall and you have a big arm, Bruce Arians will probably like you. And that might be true for Arians, but like there are also other traits that are really important for a quarterback to have in this offense, maybe above other offenses even. So if you're looking for somebody, like what's the physical and mental makeup that you're trying to look for in a quarterback?
I think more than anything, you need a fast decision maker, someone who can process the field very quickly. We talked about this the other day on the podcast, where with such a downfield attack, you need someone who, if that primary target down the field's not open, he's able to process it quickly. And that's what made this Brady-Arians marriage so successful, is that Brady's able to push the ball down the field, but he's also able to get to his third read before he's even done his drop step. And I think if you pay too much attention or you prioritize the arm strength too much, you end up in a Jameis Winston situation again, where it's a guy who he's very slow reading the field, if anything. So to me, actually, that's the most important trait above all.
If Brady retires, Scott,
yeah,
what do you think happens with the Bucs at quarterback? We've said and we both agree that they won't sit on their hands and just let Trask and Gabbert go to battle in camp. But to what extent will they go for a quarterback? There's some out there, but a lot need to be acquired via trade if that's going to happen. Cousins, Carr, Rodgers, potentially even Russell Wilson, although I think we've said we don't believe he's necessarily in the mix for the Bucs. What's their strategy? Is Rodgers? Let's just start with Rodgers. Do you think do you think the Bucs would be interested? Do you think there could be?
I think they'd be interested. I just don't see Green Bay trading him within the division now. Within the conference, yes. Yeah. the funny thing is, though, is Green Bay has to be kidding themselves. You're not going to be a legit contender with Jordan Love. You're just not.
Look at him.
So at that point in time, like, what does it matter? Now, the thing is the Packers will be playing the Buccaneers this year. So that is, again, very much like the Brett Favre thing. I think that plays into it. The Packers do not want to face Aaron Rodgers in red and pewter the year that they traded. They just don't. So I think, unfortunately, from a timing standpoint, they're playing the Packers in the wrong year, and that's going to preclude a trade. I just don't see how the Packers, in good conscience, can trade Aaron Rodgers to Tampa Bay and then play him later that year.
And it wouldn't have been something we'd have even maybe thought about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. But now the fact that the Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett, just their head coach choice, could end up making this.
That would be the more logical destination.
Because even though no question the Bucs are better than the Broncos in terms of roster, does Rodgers want to go to a totally different system with a coach he's never played with and everything, or does he want to go somewhere where a lot of things are going to be familiar and he already has a good relationship? And clearly, from what he said, he thinks very highly of Hackett in Denver. Packers are probably more likely to send him there.
It's interesting, guys, because when you think about this, Bruce Arians has 2 years left on his deal. Excuse me one second. He's got 2 years left. He's going to want another shot. That, as much as I like Blaine Gabbert, some of this was done tongue-in-cheek, folks, but I don't think that Bruce is enough of a Blaine believer to where he wants to saddle up with Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask for the last 2 years of his tenure in Tampa. Not just that, but tenure in the league.
Right.
So, but then the question is, how much does Jason Licht, as the general manager, who plans on being here more than just 2 years, how much is he willing to give up?
Yeah, that's the real question. Like, is he willing to give up major resources? Like, if you're talking about a Carr situation or a Derek Carr situation or a Kirk Cousins situation, you need to acquire these guys by trade, and their contract may not run that long. We're talking about guys that you'd have to give up something for. It wouldn't be a Matt Stafford package or anything like that, especially with what's left on their deal, but you'd be giving up some resources, even if it was just a first round pick for one of them. Then I think that you might be willing to do that, but is it best to do that? This is where it gets really tricky. If you're not getting an Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson talent at quarterback, what are you really getting? If you get Derek Carr to lead you at quarterback, is he good enough to actually get you anywhere that justifies what you gave up? It's one thing if he's a free agent. That's a different story. The problem is the free agent group is terrible. The group you can get via trade is promising, especially if you're just a neutral team, where we throw Matt Ryan in that mix. He's obviously probably not going to get traded to the Bucs. But again, that would be one that is another team you're excited about. That's a guy you could win with if you had a Bucs roster.
Yeah.
But for the Bucs, you can't really see Rodgers going there. You can't really see Ryan going there. I don't know that Carr's going to get traded at all. Like, we have to see what happens. Josh McDaniels looks like he's close to getting hired with the Raiders, which means Todd Bowles is probably not going to get that job. By the way, he probably will be back in Tampa Bay. Well, Todd Bowles asterisk there for maybe later in the show. We talk about his defining legacy, if that was Brady's last game. But Carr, on the other hand, seems like he could be staying in Las Vegas. We're in a situation now where this could be very tricky in terms of finding an actual, obviously you're not going to get an upgrade, but even a quarterback that could sustain what the Bucs had in place, even if the NFC's down, it gets pretty tricky to find that guy.
The problem too is the compensation too. I mean, Bucs are picking at 27, and if you do get one of these guys, you're looking at probably finishing somewhere around the same. If you maybe catch fire and win the Super Bowl, but you're looking 25 to 32 range next year as well. There's going to be teams that can offer better packages, better deals, especially for the guys like Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. I mean, maybe the Vikings, who've got a whole new crew in there, or the Raiders, maybe they're willing to just do a first-round pick or a package somewhat as similar to what Carson Wentz got traded for this past offseason. But, yeah, I mean, you're looking at guys, and then you have to look at how they fit within the system, and then you also have to think about, too, how spoiled these guys were the last 2 years playing with Tom. Yeah. Especially that offensive line, how do they operate under pressure? How do they, as Paul was saying, how do they read the field? How quickly can they go through their progressions? Because Donovan Smith played great until that last game, but if you get a guy who's not getting the ball away that quick, we could see revert to the Donovan Smith we know and don't love. So I mean,
well, this offense features so many choice routes as well that like you've got to be smart. You got to read the defense correctly the same way that your receivers are reading it, right? And that's what made 2020 such a miracle, was that Brady had the ability, as Paul pointed out, to process so quickly and understand the defense, and for the most part, get on the same page with these receivers. So they're seeing the same thing, at that time. Long lost leisure with the $10 super chat. We have more of these super chats to get to. Thank you all very much. Fake news today, but what if Brady, Giselle, wants to take 1 year off to spend a year of hardcore family time, 100% dedication to family, then come back, use 2022 to reset the salary cap for another push? I mean, it sounds good, but
he ain't coming back.
He's not coming back.
Yeah,
once he's gone, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's got the Brady brand he just launched and everything. He's busy now.
Wow.
Right. Agreed.
$50 super chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate this. Just a thank you guys for all the in-season live content you guys put out this season. Fun times. Thank you, Brian. We appreciate it. I really wanted to go start this podcast with kind of a nod to what Brian's talking about here, just like being thankful for like the experiences Brady gave Bucs fans while he was here for 2 years. But we'll just we're going to save that. We're just going to save all the nostalgia for like when he actually does this, when he actually announces it, not when somebody else does. At this point, everybody else has done it. So we're just going to wait. Once he does it, we'll have a great tribute pod and all of that stuff, and we'll have a good cry together. And I did have my tissues, so I had them here. They were ready to go. But no, we're waiting on all that, Brian. But thank you. JC's over here.
You're a little bit more emotionally invested, JC.
I hate to like compare it because obviously one is a tragedy. One is
don't compare it. Don't even keep that right in here, and we'll just keep moving. But this is tough for you and Paul too. Like Paul's talked about, you've watched Brady this whole time, Paul, and as you've watched Brady and you've kind of gone through in your head, like, okay, this is what he's good at, this is what he's best at, this is how he fits in this offense, and you think about another guy coming in and playing that role for the Bucs, it becomes hard to envision anybody doing it at maybe the level that Brady's done it at in Tampa Bay. In some ways, while a lot of people would have said when he got signed, he wasn't like the quarterback Arians wanted. Like he wanted somebody like Matt Stafford more. But in other ways, wasn't Brady kind of like the exact quarterback Arians needed?
Oh, yeah. Like in terms of executing any play, in terms of how it's drawn up, that's the beauty of someone like Brady, like, and why you can fit him in so many different systems, because nobody is better at executing it the way it's drawn up. Now, when things go off script, obviously that's not his strength. But he's so good at just finding, like, even if a play is designed for a certain coverage, most plays have answers within them if things change, right? Like if a safety spins down late, something like that. And with a lot of quarterbacks, if you're good with your rotations, you make them a beat slow, just a beat, and that's just enough to throw things off. But with someone like him, with how well he processes everything, sees the field, the ability to just make that right throw over and over again. And kind of as an aside, I think that's one of the big reasons why, like, his talent at times is undersold, right? Because when Brady does that and he gets to his third read, by the time he's done his drop step and it's out, it just looks like, oh, he hit the open guy. That was an easy play. That's the exact way that play was supposed to go. Anybody can make that throw. But the problem is not everybody can make that decision at that speed, at that consistency. Maybe most guys get to that read 70 out of 100 times. Brady's getting there 90 out of 100 times. And that adds up big time.
Yeah. Let me pose this to you guys, because people in the chat are saying, Jimmy G's in the NFC Championship game. Jimmy G. I'm just going to say this, and Paul, you give your thoughts, JC, Scott. Like, this is a great opportunity for people to understand the difference and why what Brady did was so incredibly impressive. You can get by with a Jimmy G and Shanahan's offense, and you can get to where you are and where Shanahan's now gotten to twice with Jimmy G. It's possible. It's not easy. You need breaks to go your way, like a block punt against Green Bay, but it's possible. It just ain't happening in Bruce Arians' system, right? Like, I mean, in this offense, a quarterback doing that,
it's quarterback driven. This is a quarterback driven offense, and Bruce Arians has even gone so far as to say it's wide receiver driven. Well, the receivers don't get the ball unless the quarterback throws it to them, right? I remember Keyshawn Johnson telling me, and of course this is hyperbole. This is Keyshawn taking a lot of himself, but he said, there's no defensive coordinator that can stop me. The only person that can stop me is the offensive coordinator, right? But in reality, this is a wide receiver / quarterback driven offense. And more so than any other place in the league, probably. And the amazing thing is when you think about Bruce Arians for just a second, right? There has never been a coach or an offensive coordinator that has been around greatness more than that guy. If you think about it, right? Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, not one or the other, both. Okay. Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Palmer, and Andrew Luck. Okay. I mean,
if you throw in Jameis Winston in there and you discount Tom, I'm just saying if you discount Tom Brady, obviously because later in his career, but if you throw Jameis in there and you look at what he's worked with, don't count Tom Brady. He's worked with 4 number 1 overall picks, other than Ben Roethlisberger, who was 11th overall and has had a Hall of Fame career.
I'm talking about 3 Hall of Famers, right?
He works with great quarterbacks.
And it would have been one in Luck if he stayed with it.
Yeah,
just a year there, I guess. But
yeah,
it's incredible. But doesn't it make it hard, Paul, to envision somebody else stepping into this offense and running it as well as Brady did? Not trying to diminish people's hopes before the season even starts, to be realistic.
I think one solution could be to go after somebody who is a great second reaction type of quarterback. Because if someone who's got great decision making and plenty of arm strength isn't available, which is a pretty tough ask, then maybe that is your best bet. Like, obviously Stafford's not available this time, but someone like him who can roll out, backyard football. But like with Jimmy G specifically, like the problem is you need someone who can push the ball. It's not just the downfield shot, but like you remember leading up to the Rams game, I sent a clip in the group chat from week 3 where Brady rips a 20-yard out route from the opposite hash. Like that is an insane throw that not every quarterback in the league can make. And he puts it on a rope. Like that type of stuff. That's the thing. Like, and I agree with Scott. It is both a receiver and quarterback driven offense, and the requirements are tough. So if you can't get all those criterion hit, then I think you got to go after someone who can just make things happen. Yeah.
Let's get to this super chat here from Eric. We appreciate it, Eric. 2 to 3 years of Rodgers, 4 to 7 of Wilson, or a decade of Deshaun Watson. I think Brady comes back once his spot is taken and forces his way to a loaded San Francisco squad. There's a lot to unpack here. He's not forcing his way anywhere.
He's not going to San Francisco. The 49ers, which was his team growing up, right? He's a California kid. They passed on him twice. Okay. They passed on him in the draft, right? And then they passed on him in free agency. He wanted to go to San Francisco before he opted for Tampa Bay, right? I mean, and John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, they stuck with Jimmy G. They made their decision. And I don't think that he's going to give him a third chance. I just don't. I think that, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Okay, well, I mean, here we are. So I don't see him playing for the 49ers. Just don't.
No, it's Bucs are done for Brady. Yeah. There's no question about it. A good comment here. $5 super chat. We appreciate it. Agreed with Paul. This offense does not offer easy reads. Needs someone who goes through progressions quickly. What can be done to simplify the offense? Good luck with this one, right, Paul? Like this, I don't know how much more it's going to happen.
Yeah, so I don't see it happening, but a couple things you could do off the bat are more split field reads. So that pre-snap where you have a situation where it's like if it's too high, you just read this side of the field. If it's one side, you read this side of the field. Whereas what Bruce Arians has done a lot of with Brady, because he's so quick at processing, is create more full field reads where he can, if he needs to, read the entire side of the field or the whole field. I mean, another thing you can do, and this definitely isn't going to happen, is more play action with under center where you only have 2 or 3 eligible receivers. Especially think about like what guys like Garoppolo and Cousins have done. They get on that bootleg action. They're only reading half the field and maybe 2 eligible receivers. Those are the kind of easiest things you can do.
Right. Good points there. Ted Curtis with the $5 super chat. We appreciate it. John, you mentioned Russ maybe not being a good fit here, Russell Wilson. Why is that? What would make him a good and bad fit here? In my opinion, I know, Scott, you have some thoughts on this too, but in my opinion, I actually would be really intrigued by Russell Wilson's schematic fit in Tampa Bay, if nothing else, even though it will be very high variance because Russell Wilson will take sacks, and in this offense, he would take a lot of them. Yeah. But it would be incredible because you would also see about 50 throws on the year that would just blow your mind because Wilson's deep ball is the best in the league. More than anything, it's the way he plays, the style that he plays, not really throwing to the middle of the field. And the fact that he is just his stature, Bruce Arians is typically gone for quarterbacks who wouldn't be. Now, if he were a prospect, it'd be easy for us to roll him out. He is an established baller. And if he's the best the Bucs can do, maybe we should give more credence to the fact that it could be a possibility, though it seems like he's staying in Seattle.
I'm sure Arians would try to stretch him out to 6'4", though. He's what, 6'1" right now? 6 foot?
I don't think he's 6 foot.
Maybe 6 foot.
Another conference guy, too. I mean, you play Seattle this year as well. It's another conference. They're going to want to move him out of the conference into the AFC. I think, John, maybe your Steelers could be interested in a move for Russell Wilson.
I mean, they probably will be, but I just don't know if I don't know if he's going to be moved. I mean, again, AFC teams could be the beneficiary of some of this chaos in the NFC right now. But the other part of it that some quarterbacks need to consider, if you're Rodgers, the Hackett stuff aside, if you just there's no way I don't think he's going to Tampa Bay, just because what if he gets to Tampa Bay and they don't come close to the standard Brady set? Now the rest of his life he's going to, and some guys don't care. They just want to go win. Rodgers couldn't take that, right, Paul? Rodgers couldn't take that. If he was constantly oh, look what Brady did in this situation, look what you did in this situation, that would eat him up for the rest of his life.
From a personal makeup standpoint, I agree with you.
Yeah, that would crush Rodgers, I think.
It's the crazy thing. I mean, these guys have gushed about Tom Brady and how meticulous he is and how prepared he is. You run the risk, right, of bringing a guy who obviously, if it's not Trask or if it's not Gabbert, which it probably won't be, of bringing their own style, their own way of doing things. It could be for an interesting locker room for sure, because they know that the Brady way is the way that leads to wins. I think just looking at it right now, your best bets are Cousins or a Carr. I mean, I really don't see other options that are presenting themselves to the Bucs. I think.
Well, the only problem with it is if you're going to get rid of Carr, for example, in Las Vegas, who's your quarterback? The problem is with the Raiders picking so late. If you get rid of Carr now, right, in free agency, but with a trade, then you have to draft a quarterback. And which quarterbacks are going to be available
unless
that late
McDaniels has his eyes on someone else?
What's that?
Unless McDaniels has his eyes on someone else who's in the league if he gets the job.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough though to start your first year not knowing who your quarterback's going to be.
Yeah,
right.
It's
one thing to come into the position and say, "Hey, we've got the number 1 overall pick, or we got the number 2 overall pick. We're going to draft a franchise quarterback." But drafting that late, you have no idea who's going to be available to pick at that point in time. And if you're going to go ahead and give up Carr to begin with, I mean, your first year is going to be a disaster,
right?
Without at least a proven quantity. And the thing is you're going to be drafting a quarterback at the end of April. You're going to be forced to start that rookie. So who's going to be doing your OTAs? Who's going to be your quarterback with all of the veterans that you're trying to get, to buy into your system?
Right. And now we got to keep in mind the Bucs are still very good. Jay Ogg says $5 super chat, and we appreciate this, Jay. Should they hold the dream post Brady? 23 quarterback class is good, and Bucs schedule is awful. Could do more harm than good trying to. He means by awful, he means very difficult. Could do more harm than good trying to scramble for lesser options. This is actually a pretty good point. This is what makes the situation actually more weird, is that even if Brady retires, it's hard to envision the Bucs being bad, but it's not hard to envision them being solid, okay, where they're in the teens of the draft, which doesn't really do anything for you like that. Yeah. So that's where it gets difficult, is you have this roster that's probably too good defensively and too good at skill positions to lose that many games, but probably not good enough without better quarterback play to be more than a wild card in the play. Well, I don't know. The South is bad too. That could be another factor.
I was going to say, as much as I hate to say it, even with Blaine Gabbert, you're probably winning the NFC South.
Let's see what happens with the Saints. I don't know.
It might be 9-8, but I think you're still winning the NFC South.
Potentially a first round out,
this
but
year.
You're in the playoffs. So
you're in the playoffs, yes.
So that's actually a good point that Jay brings up.
Yeah,
it's going to be difficult because you're right. The 23 quarterback class
is coming back.
It looks better, but you want to make sure you keep your assets, make a trade if you need to get another asset, because you may need to make a move up in the 2023 draft. But there's no question, we're just on the path right now toward whoever the Bucs quarterback of the future will be. Whoever they get in free agency or via trade will determine how far off we are from that future person. And this is, I'm saying this as somebody who has never been like a big Trask believer. It's wrong to bury him before he gets an actual chance after another year, for sure. But I'm saying somebody I didn't believe he was that before the draft. So I'm just sticking to my guns and my analysis of what he was before that point. And as somebody who didn't believe that until I see otherwise, I'm not going to be convinced of anything further with Trask. So at this point, I'm saying I think the quarterback of the future for the Bucs is not on this team, and I'm not sure the quarterback of the short term is going to be available to them that can take them higher than that's a 6-7 seed.
That's the thing. And if the Bucs go that route and they don't trade for anybody and they just look at the free agent market, you're looking at guys like Fitzmagic, maybe a second run, Andy Dalton, Tyrod Taylor, Jameis Winston, Jacoby Brissett, Teddy Bridgewater, Mariota, Mitch Trubisky could be an interesting name.
I'd rather have Blaine Gabbert than every person
Blaine
you've
Gabbert.
mentioned. At least Blaine knows the offense.
Exactly. So I mean, you're looking at now. I forgot to mention Cam Newton. So sorry about that.
He can't even throw 5 yards. So he's cooked.
Brady's coming back for one reason and one reason only. He wants to wear the creamsicle.
He actually, I thought about this actually the other day. He actually did say that he really wanted to wear the creamsicles, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
I think Bucs fans are just waiting for their Wolf of Wall Street moment, right? He's made up his mind, retires, comes back in. I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I would love that. Leo, appreciate the super chats. Everybody's super chats. We appreciate them very much. Pats fans annoy me. They want Brady's Bucs career to be erased once he retires. Best statistical season of his career, 1 ring 7, and made the NFL history. And doing so, I mean, I'm not going to comment on Patriots fans, but it's okay for a franchise to share a player. I mean, the Bucs have done that with John Lynch with his Broncos career, right? I think the Colts fans did that with Peyton Manning with his Broncos career out there. So
I mean, it's not our fault that Brady was better than Tampa Bay than he was in New England.
That's true.
If anything, if he does retire, right, and Bucs fans only got 2 years of him. They've got a Super Bowl from him. The reality is it's a different world in Tampa Bay than it was 2 years ago. Brady's transition to Tampa is what this section of the country needed. It's with everything with the loss and COVID and everything like that, it's brought people together and it's been a sense of normality and a sense of wonder. So, I mean, if it is the end of the road for Brady here in Tampa Bay, hey, enjoy what you got out of it because you got a Super Bowl win.
By the way, for people just joining, we're discussing this if Brady retires. I know some people are joining that in here at the beginning. Some people are like, what? It's not official that he's retiring. What are you guys talking about? We're talking about if he does retire. We do expect him to retire. All of us do. We believe the reports are going to come true that are out there. It hasn't happened on the timetable. He kind of wishes it to at this point, but we're saying when that happens, what are the scenarios for the Bucs? What is the outlook looking forward? Leo says the NFC South is very bad next season. If we get Rodgers, Wilson, or even Carr, we run away with the division. I want to see what happens with the Saints at quarterback. I want to see what happens with their whole situation. But I agree that the NFC South is very much up in the air. Okay, let's all settle down, Animal says, and we appreciate the super chat. Brady is going to announce at his timing and no one else's. Plus, I get a feeling he may come back for one final year. I mean, hey, listen, nobody's going to roll that out completely 100% until he says it himself. Right. So that door's going to be open.
Yeah. And if you're just joining us, this is what Don Yee, Brady's agents, put out on Twitter, put a statement out a couple hours ago. I understand the advanced speculation about Tom's future. Without getting into the accuracy or inaccuracy of what's being reported, Tom will be the only person to express his plans with complete accuracy. He knows the realities of the football business and planning calendar as well as anybody, so that should be soon.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that, obviously, but those reports that are out there seem pretty convinced so far. Some people have mentioned Gardner Minshew. I honestly think he might be the worst stylistic fit in the NFL. He does not have a strong arm.
Yeah.
He doesn't throw in a lot of tight windows, and he takes a long time in the pocket. It's not a quick process or not a quick decision maker, kind of the antithesis of what you want in an offense like this.
Well, yeah. And the thing too is, I mean, if you, if you're really looking for a guy with a mustache, I mean, Blaine Gabbert.
You're going to be insufferable if Gabbert starts a full year. And they even go 9-8 or 8-9 and win the division, Scott. Like, you're going to be
I mean, I can't even – the division's going to be – I mean, appears to be a very winnable division. But, I mean, you still have a really difficult schedule. You're talking about the Ravens. You're talking about the Bengals, the Packers.
No, you get the Rams again.
You got the Rams.
The Rams again without Brady.
You got the Chiefs. You got Arizona, Cleveland, Dallas, San Francisco.
The easiest part of the Bucs schedule is actually the NFC South.
It
really is.
And in the past, that would have been the toughest in some years, but not this year. Definitely the best. Speaking of the best, I got to tell people about our friends over at Celsius because they got the fast protein bars going on right now, folks. And we're not going to do a ton of promotions today, but I got to let you know about this one because right now, for the entire month of January, we have running this special where you can type in the promo code 20. What is it? 20 fast start. Is that what it is?
It is 20 fast
20
start, John.
Fast start is the promo code. You can get 20% off the white chocolate cookies and cream or the caramel peanut crunch. The link to get those, to order those, is in the YouTube description. Just roll down there and click it. I mean, these are the best protein bars you'll ever have. I promise you. They'll replace sweets. They replace meals if you need them to.
They're like candy bars. They really are.
They're so good. 20 grams of protein. If you're looking for just protein without some of the other stuff, it can be hard to get. This is good protein that you can get from these. They're so worth it, and they're 20% off right now. 20 fast start is the promo code. They taste great. There's 2 different flavors. Make sure you check those out. Take advantage of the special offer while it lasts. Guys, we got to keep rolling on this show, and let's wrap up here in a couple minutes with our final thoughts here. Basically, we're going to talk more about –
okay, hold on real quick here. Let's just go around real quick, 5 seconds. Do we think the Bucs will retire number 12? Not will number 12 retire from the Buccaneers. We all kind of think that he will, but do we think the Bucs are going to retire number 12? Yes, I think they will retire number 12, and I think they're going to put him in the Bucs Ring of Honor.
You know better than me, Scott, so I'll just go off whatever you say there. I have no clue how that works, nor do I know why we retire jersey numbers, but that seems like they probably will then.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ring of Honor for sure, retirement for sure. Everything I just said a couple of minutes ago is one of the reasons why, with everything this country's going through, to have him come in here and just give a beacon of hope and light and excitement for Tampa and a re-jolt to the franchise. Hell yeah, retire it.
Tony Montana, 100 rubles.
TB12's coming back. Wow.
Come back. Yeah.
Tony Montana said it. You heard him. Yeah. Not to Tampa. New England, San Francisco, or to Tennessee instead of that effort.
At least he's on your side, John.
Recognizes that effort was Tannehill. Yeah. Thank you, Tony Montana. Yeah. I told you. It's who it is, man.
I agree. I think it was Tannehill too.
I know this one, man. I know this one. I have heard it. I know it. Shaggy with the $20 super chat. We appreciate it. I did still expect Tom to make it official after the Super Bowl. He has enough respect for the game to not be the story during the conference championship through.
Well, he's not the story. That's the thing.
Exactly. Yeah. This caught him by surprise as much as anybody. Yeah.
He's on vacation. He is with the family, I guess, overseas right now. So this is not coming from Tom Brady. This is, maybe coming from people in his camp that have speculated, but I think that's the situation.
Right. No question about it. That is the situation. So what will happen next? It remains to be seen. Everybody that's in the chat that's watching right now, if you could all hit the like button, that would help us out a ton, though. I know that. And it would boost our YouTube SEO, help us out. We are growing like crazy. The channel has taken off and the numbers have been great. And the subscriber count well over 7,000 now, cruising our way toward 8,000. And we're excited about it. And we appreciate all you jumping in and joining with us. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the like button on as many of our videos as you can. Help us out, boost that YouTube SEO, get more people to the channel, get more people learning about it, and we'll do more content. We've got draft content coming up. We're going to be live at the Senior Bowl next week. We're going to be reporting on stuff that happens at the Senior Bowl, prospects the Bucs are watching, prospects at key positions. It's going to be a blast. We can't wait for it. So much good content coming your way from us at the Senior Bowl. Watch our social medias too. Make sure you're following. We'll have clips we're sending out, all that kind of stuff. We'll be going out on social media, player interviews, all that stuff. So we're locking into the draft, man. Brady or no Brady, the Bucs are going to get better this offseason as a roster in a lot of other ways, and we're going to have you covered on that front.
We got some double coverage going on. If something happens with the Bucs and Brady or just the Buccaneers in general, JC and I are back in Tampa covering that. We've got
Paul's in Vancouver helping out with that.
That's right. Yeah, we got Matt and John and Casey heading to Mobile, so it's all the bases are going to be covered at Pewter Report.
Right. Looking forward to it for sure. It's going to be a good week, no question. We appreciate everybody jumping in here for this emergency edition of the pod. Somebody did have a super chat about our predictions for tomorrow. We appreciate that, Animal. So let's close it out with this.
Okay. Predictions
for tomorrow. We'll go Scott, JC, Paul, and I'll wrap it up. Go ahead, Scott.
Okay. I believe Kansas City is going to win. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to outduel Joey Bengal. And I expect Kansas City to win. I think the Rams are going to beat the 49ers. And I think it's going to be a Kansas City Los Angeles Super Bowl in Hollywood, of all places. So the Rams would be the second team in a row. Tampa Bay was the first last year to host the Super Bowl and be in it. And we'll see if they can do the same thing the Bucs did, which is win it. Well, that prediction later on, if that pairing comes true. But right now I'm saying Chiefs and Rams.
Look, I want Bengals and 49ers bad. I want to see the Bengals complete the out of nowhere story with Joe Burrow and Jamar
You're
Chase.
too young to remember the Sam Weish, was it Kenny Anderson, Joe Montana Super Bowl? I remember
catch,
it.
Right?
Huh?
That was the
That
catch.
was the catch.
Or,
well, yeah. Well, yes.
Immaculate reception, or was it the catch? One of those two, right?
Well, technically the catch was in the NFC Championship game against the Cowboys, 49ers and Cowboys. That was the catch.
Right. Sprint right off.
It was the comeback. It was
fun as the play.
It wasn't Jerry Rice. It was John Taylor who
Clark?
had the
something Clark, right?
Dwight Clark.
I was going to say it would be very on brand for you to know the play, but not know who.
It was some guy throwing the ball to some other guy catching it. But here's the play.
But just X's on a chalkboard.
Yeah, it was Joe Montana in the back of the end zone against the Dallas Cowboys to Dwight Clark. That was the catch.
Yeah, that's right. JC, did you say your predictions?
No, I said as much as I would like to see that, and SR taught a little history right there. But I do agree with SR. I think the Chiefs and Mahomes is too high powered to be able to, the Bengals to keep up. They might jump out to an early lead, and then the Chiefs come storming back, and 49ers are just too banged up. They've had their number 6 straight times. You got to think it's going to turn around. Although I have heard that tickets have been selling to 49ers fans like crazy out in LA. And last time they played out there, that they said that the stadium the Rams said it was so loud they could barely communicate. So that would be an interesting storyline, but it's probably going to be the Rams and the Bengals. I do have a question for all of you too after we have to do predictions.
Okay. JC, did you say your predictions?
Me? Yeah, I said Rams Chiefs.
All right. Sarah says, how GOAT is Brady? Brady is so GOAT. He played in the GOAT of Super Bowl comebacks and made Atlanta the GOAT of choke. Almost made the Rams the GOAT of choke. But then Todd Bowles showed up to the party. Paul, what do you think? Who's winning tomorrow?
So I think Rams and Chiefs in a blowout, unfortunately. But I'm totally with JC. I would love that matchup that he said. I just want to say, by the way, I would love an off-season YouTube series from Scott, like an NFL history, Bucs history, something like that. Catch me up. I don't know these guys. Get me up to speed.
I love that too. I love that kind of stuff. I think the Rams and the Chiefs are going to win as well. I wish I could be contrary, but I thought the 49ers, really good team, but I think the Rams are kind of on another level right now. And then I picked against the Bengals every round. I've been wrong twice. I've been wrong so much this playoffs, it's not even funny. But I do think the Chiefs are going to pull this. I think we're going to see Chiefs Rams. And I think it'll be a very good Super Bowl too, by the way. And I'm very much looking forward to those matchups. Look at this guy right here. Henry Andrich with the $5 super chat. As Tom Brady is the most overrated athlete of all time, don't you think the Bucs will be better without him next year? Everybody in the chat, just eviscerate this man right now. I command you.
Hey, thanks for that $4.99.
Yeah, thanks for the $5. No, Henry's actually one of my boys. That's actually my boy. He's in here trolling on purpose. But still, eviscerate him in the chat. Let this man know exactly how wrong he is. JC, I know you're burdened right now.
Well, this is gonna come up, right? It's gonna come up in the chats once you finally. It's gonna come up. It is. People are gonna talk about it. When Tom Brady goes in, is he going in as a Buck or is he going in as a Pat?
He's going as a Patriot.
You don't go in as anything, I thought. You
don't, I don't think, but he would go in as a Buck because his best years are with the Bucks.
Also,
50% of his seasons with the Bucks.
That's the argument that I've been hearing. So I just want to ask
50% of his seasons with the Bucks, he won the Super Bowl, and that you can't say that.
I'll say this about Brady. His biggest blowout win in the Super Bowl came with the Buccaneers. I mean, the biggest margin of victory that Brady had with the Patriots was 10 points, 13-3 against the Rams. So you could say that, and I'm not taking anything away from Brady, but without Vinatieri and without Stephen Gostkowski, without those two kickers, this whole thing gets a little swirly.
Yeah.
I know that Brady had a lot to do with those game-winning drives, but he gets them down there. But Brady's not the one putting through the uprights, folks.
If he had a bad kicker, you never know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Brady wouldn't have been a Hall of Fame worthy quarterback. It just I just don't know that he has 7 championships, right?
I just watched the Man in the Arena episode when he was when the Patriots went undefeated in the regular season, and he and Randy Moss went nuts, and it was just like remembering that year was just like holy
the
crap.
2007 season was crazy.
Oh my gosh, just unbelievable. So it's great stuff.
It's been a crazy night, folks.
Yeah, it has been.
Brady is going to be the shortest tenured quarterback to get a key to the city, a national holiday in his name, never have to pay for anything. He came down here. It's crazy.
Truly remarkable what he did in a short amount of time. It really is. But we appreciate everybody jumping in here and joining us tonight on this show. We'll be back next week for more shows in the Pewter Report podcast. So make sure you're subscribed and you get yourself ready for some draft content, free agency talk, and all that fun stuff coming up next week.
Yeah.
We'll be at the Senior Bowl. We'll have you covered there from Mobile, Alabama. Looking forward to it. Until then, thanks so much, everybody, for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.